Tune in every Tuesday morning from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. for Faith Works with Pastor Jimmy Ellison. Pastor Ellison has the privilege of interviewing leaders in Noonan who are making a kingdom impact, modeling for our community that faith does indeed work. So don't miss an episode of Faith Works with Pastor Jimmy Ellison, Tuesday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., only on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key.
Hey, I'm Jimmy Ellison. I'm the pastor here at Noonan City Church. I want to thank you. You'll find as you walk through that we focus on three areas primarily. One is worship, small groups, and local missions. And our purpose is transforming lives for Jesus' sake, helping individuals experience that transformation. And we use these three areas, worship, small groups, and local missions, to help individuals experience that. So you'll get a sense of who Noonan City Church is, and I hope that you'll come and worship with us soon. Take care, and God bless.
The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of this radio station, its management, or its sponsors. Listeners are urged to use their own discernment to draw their own conclusions.
It's now time for Faith Works with Pastor Jimmy Ellison from Noonan City Church.
Good morning, Noonan. I'm Jimmy Ellison, and you're listening to Faith Works, where each week we have conversations with church leaders that are demonstrating that faith does indeed work. And this morning, I'm thrilled to have my new friend, Bishop JD Fowler, on the show. This morning, Bishop is the Bishop of the Pentecostal Orthodox Church Fellowship. And I've learned you have churches all over the country. And we're honored to have you on the show today, Bishop.
Well, Pastor, it is such a blessing and an honor and a privilege to be with you this morning. It really is. I must say, as you said, I have a new friend, Pastor Jimmy Ellison. And I appreciate you, sir. I really, really do.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing your story and hearing how God got you to Atlanta.
Yes.
And then what's happening. And we'll, of course, talk about the play Go Back and Get God, which is a play that's going to be here October the 5th, that Saturday night here in downtown Noonan, and we'll talk more about that as the program goes on. But I want to hear your story first. So tell me, where did you grow up? Tell me about your faith journey. So where are you from, brother?
Well, I am from Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
That is where I was born, as they say, born and reared.
There you go. There you go.
Some people say raised, but born and reared
Weird.
in Baltimore, Maryland. My father was actually a pastor and bishop.
Wow.
And my grandmother was a pastor.
Really?
Yeah, my father's mother was a pastor.
Now, were they part of the Pentecostal movement?
My grandmother was a Baptist minister and pastor.
Not Southern Baptist. Southern Baptist?
No.
Northern Baptist?
Well, yeah, I'm not sure.
But
it was Baptist.
But it was Baptist. Got it.
And we're talking about many years ago.
I'm about to say your grandmother had to be.
She was like one of the very few women pastors of that era in Baltimore. And so she was a Baptist pastor. And then my father, following my grandmother's footsteps, he was originally a Baptist preacher and a Baptist pastor of Baptist churches. And then he had an experience with God in a different way. And the Lord brought him over to the Pentecostal Holiness Church.
His experience was with the Holy Spirit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I know the lingo in there.
You know.
When you say experience and move to the Pentecostal church, I know exactly what that
Absolutely. And so when I came along, of course, many years later, my father was pastor and bishop of called Saints Pentecostal Holiness Church.
Wow.
And you couldn't get more Pentecostal than us.
Was that in Maryland?
In Baltimore, yes,
Wow.
in Baltimore. And so I grew up, of course, in my dad's church, singing, and then I began to play the piano. So that's why I became a musician and then.
The music is, I tell you, music is so important.
It is.
There's something about music just setting the environment for the Spirit to work.
Absolutely.
I've seen that, of course, in my own life.
Yes.
In my own church.
Yes.
Such a critical
It's
part.
so important. You know, we understand the relationship originally between God and Lucifer. Lucifer, the angel who had music in his being. and leading worship. So we understand that dynamic, that if Jesus had someone to lead music and praise in the heavens, God knows we need it on earth in our services. And it does exactly what you said. It sets the atmosphere. And when you think about David and all of the great musicians and Asaph and all those musicians in the Old Testament, they were called upon to set the atmosphere or to change the atmosphere. And so I've been in music since a child. And
we won't talk about it today, but I would love bring it back. I want to hear your theology of music.
I would love to.
And the idea that Lucifer, the fallen angel, played a role with music.
Yes,
I'd love to hear unpack all of that.
Let's do that.
Because one thing I do know is that Brian, one thing I've learned over the years is that the devil can come through the choir.
You better believe it. No, see, that's his ministry, you know.
That's what I'm saying. I'd love to unpack that, but we're not here to talk about that.
But let's do that, Pastor.
Yeah, I would love
let's
that.
Let's do that, and then let's do a seminar, a workshop, and hold at your church and invite the singers and musicians who want to actually get a deeper understanding of what they're called to do to another level. Let's do that.
So you jumped into music
ministry?
Yeah,
into music, and so from there, I was 17, and every year at my father's church, during the church anniversary every year, there was always Saturday night was youth night.
Yeah.
So we always had a musical concert on youth night. This particular year, I said to the Lord, because I was saying it at the age of 7, and I said, God, I want to do something different for our youth night this year. And I began to write my adaptation of the story of the crucifixion, the week that we all know between Palm Sunday and Resurrection Sunday, what happened that week. And so I wrote my adaptation of that, and it was called Can't No Grave Hold My Body Down. It was a dinner theater. It's my first time doing anything like that. And I wrote it for that night, and I was already playing for a Baptist church because my father's church didn't start until 12 noon. And so I would play for the Baptist church in the morning earlier and then go to my dad's church to play for us. And so I had a big youth choir at the Baptist church, and we had the youth choir at my dad's church. So when I wrote the first play, I had those young people from both churches come together.
Wow.
And so it was a dinner theater. So it was just for that one night, Pastor. One night for the church anniversary. By the time we finished the first scene, the Holy Spirit had fallen, and people were hollering and jumping and clapping and almost turning over tables in the spirit after scene one. And so by the time we got to the crucifixion, it wasn't a dry eye anywhere.
I bet.
What happened was people also came from various churches. They came to see it. And they were like, oh, you got to bring this to my church. You got to bring it to my church.
You're 17 years old.
17.
So clearly, the Lord had anointed you early with this gift.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And so that's how you
I got started with the plays. And so I was doing the plays for years, and I'm traveling, and God is opening doors, and I'm got this production company now. And then the Lord calls me to the ministry. Well, I called myself appeasing God and said, listen, as far as I'm concerned, Lord, that stage is my pulpit. The people that come to the place is the congregation. and the people in the play, that's the choir, because they say, I'm going to stay right here. And my mother said something to me. She said, son, it's hard to kick against the pricks. When God has called you to a higher level of ministry, you must say yes. But I fought it for a long time. Wow. At age 26 is when I yielded to the Lord, to the ministry of the preaching of the gospel. And that was 35 years ago.
Wow. How about that? So you were, what happened at 19 to 26?
Doing the plays. I was doing the plays.
So did you go off to school, or you just said,
no,
this is what I'm going to do?
This is what I'm going to do.
So you had such a clear calling early.
Yes, that, and as a musician, because I was playing, as I say, for those two churches. I was playing for other gospel singers and Christian singers in Baltimore. I was playing for them. I was traveling with them as a musician. So it was music and the plays. Then the Lord moved me into radio. So I started doing radio, music, and the plays. And that's what I was doing until I accepted the call to preach the gospel in 1984.
And when you accepted that call to preach, did your dad assign you a church, or did you take over that church?
No. Originally, first of all, I don't want to sound like I just said, "Oh yes, Lord, I'm ready now." No, that's not what happened.
Very seldom is that the story, isn't it?
February 19th, 1984.
Wow.
I had gone to a revival at one of the really mega churches, I would say, in Baltimore. And the man of God who was preaching that night was from Ohio, from Columbus, Ohio. And he preached a message that night, Pastor. I'll never forget the title of it. Be who you are and not who you were.
Be who you are
and
not who you were. That's good. That's good.
And when that man of God finished preaching, I was on the floor on my knees crying before God. On my way home, the Holy Spirit it just wouldn't let me go. When I got to the front door, because I was, of course, living at our family home. When I got to the door, I was walking up the walkway. It was just like almost an experience that Saul had on the road to Damascus, where the voice of Jesus was speaking to me. I've called you to preach my gospel. And I mean, I was fighting this. I don't want to do that, I got inside the door. I actually fell in the door, opening the door. I fell on my knees, and I crawled into the dining room. Tears are coming down my face, and I'm going, God, I can't do that. By the time I got to the living room, and I found myself under the dining room table, and I heard the Lord say one more thing to me. He just called my name. He said, Jeremiah. And I said, I broke it. I said, yes, Lord, I'll go. And so it was not a pretty sight. It was not a pretty sight. And it was from that night that I said yes to the Lord, from that point on, I preached what they call back then your trial sermon. They call it back then. Now we see initial sermon. It was trial sermon back then. So
somebody grading you?
Yes, to see how well you do. And so that was a few months after that I preached my first sermon.
And that's your home church?
Yes, and so. From the beginning, I knew God had called me to revivals. I have a revival ministry. Okay. I tell people I could be in revival 7 nights a week and not get tired. Because, not tired, meaning that, I can't go tomorrow night. I may be tired physically, but when it's time for revival, I'm a revivalist. And so for the first few years, I just was doing revivals, and God was opening doors. A pastor was calling me, and then my first pastorate was maybe about 3 years later that I had my first pastorate.
Wow! And then God honored that ministry. Just took off from there.
Exactly.
That is great. Now, do you have any family?
Yeah, I have a son. I was married at one time. I have a son, my one and only child.
Now, is he in ministry?
He's fighting the pastor. Listen, I want you to pray for him, and I want every prayer partner in this, every listener who believes in prayer, to pray for my son. His name is Josiah.
Yeah,
I'm Jeremiah. He's Josiah.
That makes sense.
And if you read scriptures about Josiah and Jeremiah, you'll see what God did, not me.
Right.
And he's fighting. The boy has such a strong calling on his life. When he was younger, he was, but as he got that teenage years and whatnot, and my travels so much and not being hands-on all the time, the enemy got a hold in there. And so I tell people, pray for him, because I believe he's coming around. I realize
is he in Atlanta or where?
No, he's in Baltimore, where I'm from.
He's in
Baltimore.
Up north.
Yeah, he's 30.
Wow.
He's 30.
Wow.
Yeah, he's real grown.
Paying his own bills real grown.
He's been doing that for quite some time.
That's great.
He said, well, Dad, you raised me to be a man and be independent, take care of myself. So listen, if he tell me, Dad, I need some money, he really needs some money.
I know a lot of parents who wish their children would say that. That's a truth. Ron's having revival over here, So you're doing these plays. How did you get to Atlanta, Georgia?
Well, some years ago, the Lord made me understand when He snatched me off of the tour I was doing. I had a play at that time, which I still have, that's called Thank God for Mama. And we were touring in various states around the country with it. And then I was contracted to do a special presentation at the Kennedy Center. When you see on television, the Kennedy Honors,
absolutely.
With Diane Carroll and the Alvin Ailey Dancers and my company. Okay. And it was like the biggest thing that we had done.
Yeah,
and
I would say so.
Yeah. And so we would go back on tour 2 weeks later with the play Thank God for Mama after leaving the Kennedy Center. And the Lord caused my promoter and producer to have a stroke. And I say the Lord did it. I just believe, I won't say He did, the Lord allowed it.
Yeah.
Allowed him to have a stroke, and then followed by another stroke, and followed by another stroke, to the point that Nick could no longer, he couldn't even speak. So I had to release all of my actors, all of my musicians and singers from their 2-year contract. Because we still had another year and a half on our contract. Released them to go get other work because he was ill.
Yeah.
And so we couldn't continue. And so maybe about a month and a half after that, I went to a revival to hear one of my colleagues, and that pastor said to me that night, God is calling you to go back to being a shepherd. Because I had pastored before during that time, but I had gone on the road, going back to being a pastor, to being a shepherd over His people. And so, long story short, I wound up, say, okay, God, whatever you want me to do, So I shut down the production company, and the Lord signed me to a church in New Orleans, Louisiana, to pastor. And so pastoring there, and then in 1985, He elevated me to the office of the bishop, and then establishing a few other ministries around other areas. And so years later, I'm sent to, by the Lord, to Phoenix, Arizona, to establish a ministry out there and a church out there. And the Lord let me know when He sent me to Arizona that my next place would be Atlanta. But no, He said Georgia. He said it would be Georgia.
Okay.
But Georgia would not be about planting another church or another ministry. He was going to let me move back into my first love, which is the arts, the plays,
How do
the
you
shows.
hear from the Lord?
Wow.
When you say you hear, He released you, or He sent you, I think that's a big question on a lot of people's minds.
Yes.
And when they hear an individual, I know in my life, if I've heard people want to, well, tell me, Pastor, how do you hear from those? So what's your experience of hearing?
Yeah.
How do you prepare yourself, and what does that look like for you?
Well, and I'm glad you said for me.
Yeah.
Because everybody's experience is different.
Absolutely.
There is no one answer for everybody.
Yeah.
For me, I hear God on the inside. There's only been twice in my life, Pastor Jimmy, that I have heard God's voice audibly.
Okay.
That's when I was 7, when He saved me, and one word, Jeremiah. So walking down the alley, going to the store, and I heard God say, Jeremiah. And that was the first time God called me to Him.
Yeah.
The second time was when I shared February 19th, 1984, when I accepted the call to preach.
Okay.
One word, Jeremiah. Other than that, I hear God on the inside. I hear Him in my head. I hear Him in my mind, in my thoughts, in my inner being. He just completely fills my being when He speaks to me. God is a spirit.
Yes.
And the word says that they that worship Him must worship Him in spirit and in truth. So you have to have that relationship with Him in the spirit, I believe, in order to hear from Him.
Got it.
Because He's not going to speak to our flesh.
Yeah.
Because He's spirit.
Right.
Our spirit speaks to our flesh. But God don't speak to the flesh. He speaks to the spirit.
That's
because
good.
He's spirit to spirit.
Right.
That's
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's how I hear God.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that.
Oh, man, thank you.
So the Lord, through His Spirit spoke to you and said, "You're coming to Atlanta,
yes,
but you're not going to be pastoring a church."
Right. You're not going
So,
to
did
church.
you have clarity at that point?
Oh, yeah.
So it would go back into the art.
Yes.
and-
Absolutely.
And so,
absolutely. And I was grateful.
Yeah.
Because I was 26 when I pastored my first church.
Yeah.
And I've been pastoring off and on ever
Yeah,
since.
yeah.
So, I pastored in Baltimore. I pastored in Louisiana. I've pastored in Arizona. I've pastored in Mississippi. And so now I don't have to. I have to, but I'm not assigned as a local pastor, so I can really move around the country and around the world doing things.
People don't realize the emotional toll of pastoring.
No.
When you're caring,
Yes.
you're spiritually caring for a flock.
Yes.
And if you do it, if you're intentional with that, that's can be some heavy stuff.
Oh my God! And that's why when I'm blessed with the opportunity to go to be invited to various churches and ministries to preach or to minister, I always tell the people, pray for your pastor.
Yes.
Pray.
Thank
We're
you for
always
that.
looking for the pastors to pray for us, for the people.
Yeah.
They call on us to pray for them all the time.
Yeah.
But how many of you are praying for your pastor? Because you don't know what that man or woman of God is going through. Just because you see us and we are full of the Spirit of God and we are fired up and we're ready to lead, but you don't know behind the scenes. And one of the things that I'm going to be doing, Pastor, that I had kind of forgotten about, but that the Lord just kind of brought back to me just now. I know if things are ordained by the Lord, is I want to do a short film for pastors, the true side of what pastors go through. I want to, because I think that people need to see that.
Yeah. I don't think the average. I've never enjoyed hearing pastors talk about how hard they have it. The other side of that is it can be challenging.
Yes,
it can be emotionally just taxing and
yes,
dealing with the heartache and the number of families that are under attack.
Yes.
And abuse and with physical and then alcohol and
drugs. Yes.
That just tearing families apart.
Yes.
Death.
Yes. Domestic
wow.
issues in the home.
Come on.
That people don't want to talk about.
Come on, I'm with you.
Yeah.
It's real.
It's real.
It's real.
And all of that. Take a moment and just envision somebody dragging a wagon that is full of bricks. And this person comes down the aisle of Noonan City Church dragging that wagon and pull it up to you, the pastor, and say, deal with it. That is what the people bring every week.
Yeah.
They bring their wagon.
Yeah.
And you, the pastor, you, the leader, are required by God.
Yeah.
To do what you do.
Yeah.
But all of that weighs on you.
Yeah.
Because Jesus was all God, but he was also all man. And if he wasn't, then he wouldn't have cried when Lazarus died. So I'm sorry. I'm going.
He done gone to preaching now. No, that's good. That's good stuff, Bishop. That's good. So you just did you call somebody in Atlanta? Did you know somebody down there?
No, I did not.
You did on faith.
Listen.
You left and on faith.
Wasn't the first time. When I moved when the Lord sent me to New Orleans from Baltimore to pastor the church there, I knew no one. The church that had asked me to come, that called for me. I went there, but I didn't know anybody down there. When the Lord sent me to Arizona, I didn't know anybody. Listen, I am one of those people who can minister about true faith in another level, because it takes sure enough living by faith to hear from God to do something and do it. And do it when you don't even have the financial resources to do it. But you say, okay, God, is this what you said me to do? Yeah. This is what I'm going to do.
That's faith.
Stepping
out on faith.
It is.
And so you said earlier you've been here 2 years?
2 years, yes.
So you moved to Atlanta and you find a place to live.
Yes.
Where you live on the north side? Where do you live?
Yeah, I live in the Vinings area.
Okay, so you just
Yes.
Said, okay, this is a good spot.
I came, when I first came, I was staying at a hotel in the perimeter area.
Yeah.
And I did know of one of the deacons under my ministry at the church that we used to have in New Orleans before Hurricane Katrina happened. Yeah. That's another story. We lost our church in Hurricane Katrina. We lost our church, we lost homes, we lost cars, all of that we lost in Hurricane Katrina. But one of my deacons lives and he moved to Shreveport, Louisiana after the hurricane.
Right.
Where he's owned his own real estate business.
Okay.
Well, one of his agents moved here to Atlanta after Hurricane Katrina.
Okay, so I had
so
some
he
connection.
he put me in contact with him, and then he took me around looking for some place here to live.
So you find your place.
I was in a hotel for about a month. Yeah. And we find some place to live, and did that, and
then started this.
A few months later, I did my first play here. Not my first play. So my first play in Atlanta. My first play in Atlanta. It's called, again, Thank God for Mama, the one that I was on tour with when my promoter had the stroke. I did that last year.
So where did you go? Where did you do that?
We did that at it's called the East Point First United Methodist Church in East Point.
Absolutely.
You know that?
I told you I was Methodist earlier.
Yes.
I've been in that sanctuary before.
Yeah, East Point First Malibu.
Yeah,
United Methodist Church.
I know exactly.
That's where we rehearse every Thursday night. That's where we are.
Really?
Watch this. Another thing about God. So, how did I wind up having the first play there? Well, when I was sent to New Orleans, like I told you back, that was in '93. The pastor in '93. The young man who was the musician of the church I moved to New Orleans to play for was 18 at the time. He is the minister of music of East Point First United Methodist Church. So when I'm in Georgia, I don't even know. I forgot Nathaniel was even here. One of the pastors under my ministry in Mississippi said, "Well, Bishop, you know Nathaniel is in Atlanta." I said, "Oh my God, give me his number." We hooked up. Hadn't seen that boy in, I know, 15 years.
And he's doing ministry
and
now.
He is a minister of music there. And so he said, and he's been in my plays and in my shows.
Is that
before.
not amazing?
So he said, but Bishop, we have a big sanctuary here. We got a fellowship hall. We got a stage. You can do the play here since it's your first time doing something in Atlanta. Don't go to a theater. Come here where the church would definitely support.
Sure.
And he's my musical director for my plays.
How about that? Well, Bishop, we're coming up on a hard break.
Yes, indeed.
And then after the break, I want to hear about the play here in Noonan. We want to talk about that and how, what we can expect when we come to this play and how do we get the word out with that.
Absolutely.
Friends, you're listening to FaithWorks. We'll be right back.
You've been around long enough to know good stuff when you hear it. That's why you're here now. Classic Hits, WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key.
At Newlink, WOW, local matters. Local keeps our families and businesses thriving. WOW takes pride in serving the Noonan and Peachtree City communities and supporting Coweta County charities and events. For the fastest local internet, call 770-683-1931. And get up to 100 megs of speed for $29.99 a month. Lock in this price, save for the whole year. It's a great value that locals love.
Join us here, live from Noonan, Georgia, as we present the Health, Happiness, and Harmony Hour, every Wednesday from 10 to 11. I'm your host, Dr. Lewis Boynton. Please join us each week as we have new guests and talk about topics related to the psychological world. We're hoping that you will find interesting and helpful topics that will help you have more health, happiness, and harmony in your life. Join us every Wednesday from 10 to 11 at 99.1 WQEE Rock and Roll Radio.
Discover the hidden treasures of historic downtown Noonan on the Goodwill Ambassadors Radio Show with Mr. Personality every Thursday morning at 9:30 a.m. right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, Noonan.
Ever dreamed of being a radio DJ or hosting your own show? Now here's your chance. WQEE 99 Rock the Key is giving you an opportunity to host your own show. If you'd like to get your advertising message across the thousands of listeners throughout the area, here's your chance. Hosting your own show is the way to do it. Perfect for attorneys, realtors, churches, sports talk shows, and more. Contact 678-673-6318 for further information. Host your own show.
Tune in the second and fourth Thursday each month for Know Your Rights. I'm your host, Charles Cobble, and we'll discuss your rights and have plenty of information on what those rights are. Every second and fourth Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on WQEE 99.1 FM.
Hey, I'm Jimmy Ellison. I'm the pastor here at Noonan City Church. I want to thank you. You'll find as you walk through that we focus on three areas primarily. One is worship, small groups, and local missions. And our purpose is transforming lives for Jesus' sake, helping individuals experience that transformation. And we use these three areas, worship, small groups, and local missions, to help individuals experience that. You'll get a sense of who Noonan City Church is, and I hope that you'll come and worship with us soon. Take care, and God bless.
Around long enough to remember getting up to turn the channels on the TV? That's classic. Classic hits. WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key.
Welcome back to Faith Works. I'm Jimmy Ellison, and we're talking to Bishop JD Fowler, and just hearing about your life and ministry. Bishop, what a journey you have been on. The Lord has taken you on a marvelous journey.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And so you moved to Atlanta a few years back and started doing the plays again.
Yes.
And you are bringing your newest play to Noonan.
Well, it's actually not my newest play.
Not?
No.
Man,
actually,
you were just like writing them right and left. All right. So.
Actually, Pastor, it's the first time we're bringing this play to anywhere in the South.
Got it.
The last time I did this play, which is called, first of all, it's a musical stage play.
Okay.
It's a musical stage play. There's a difference between
now, did
musical
you write the
plays.
music for this?
Oh, yes, sir. 90% of all the music I wrote. Yeah.
Are you kidding
Yes,
me?
sir. 90%.
What can't you do, man?
Try to learn computers now, but that's what I'm not too good at. But yeah, the last time, I've only done this show twice in my life. I did it in 1999 in Baltimore. That was the first time I premiered it for a weekend, a 3-day weekend. I didn't do it again until 2005. And that was in New York, off-Broadway.
Really?
Yes, sir. Off-Broadway, New
So
York
this
City.
play has been on Broadway?
Off-Broadway.
Off-Broadway. Now, what does that mean, off-Broadway?
On Broadway means that you're at bigger theater venues, and it costs a whole lot more money.
Right.
Off-Broadway is like around the corner from Broadway.
But in New York.
But, and that was 2005. And I haven't done it since. So but I knew God wanted me to bring it back to make it even greater. Yeah. And so this is the first time of me doing that show in this part of the country. And it's called Go Back and Get God. It is, as I say, it's a musical stage play, meaning that the difference between just stage plays and musical stage plays is that the play is 50% music.
Okay.
So there's singing and song and dance and choreography and all of that you would look for at a Broadway production.
Yeah.
And so I am building what I call faith-based Broadway. That is what I'm building now, Faith-Based Broadway, beginning with this production here on October the 5th. And so this play is all about a pastor who takes his congregation out of the building and into the community.
Okay.
Initially, he takes the people into the community for a one-day event. Something happens, I don't want to give it away, but something happens their very first time going to the community that makes him say, you know what, for the next 3 months, we're going to have all of our services right out here on the streets. So there's never a church scene in the play. The entire play takes place in the neighborhood.
Wow.
So you have people in the neighborhood who are dealing with many of the issues that people all over the world deal with. Homelessness, so we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Alcoholism, drugs, crime, people who are on the verge of divorce, people who left the church for various reasons and say they're not going back to nobody's church no more. These are the people that we as ministers, as pastors, as leaders are called to go out and reach. We can't wait and believe that everybody who needs God is going to come to our particular church doors to get him.
Yeah.
Jesus never pastored a church when he was on the earth. His ministry was out in the streets, out among the people. Now, he went to the synagogue for his own personal refilling, but his ministry was out in the streets, out where the people were. So that's what this play is all about. It's called Go Back and Get God, to reach people who, for various reasons, either have left God or never come to God. And the whole moral of the story is, I believe as a writer, that no matter what we face in life, God is the answer to all of our problems, all of our issues, all of our challenges, all of our struggles, no matter what they are. If we come to God, he can turn things around. And that's what this play is all about.
That's good. That is good. So you, I've shared with you, we have a homeless mission in Atlanta, and we've started a mission here. We're partnering with other churches here in town and bridging the gap to serve our homeless during the cold winter months. We have what we call a warming shelter, and so when it hits below 35 degrees, we have different churches that come to our facility, our location, and we open it up to let folks who are on the street or who sleep, and so many sleep in their car. People in our community have no clue how many individuals sleep in vehicles here
in Noonan,
Georgia. They have no idea. And we've got a fairly large population, and I say large, I'm talking 20 to 25 that are in the woods somewhere, either here in downtown or actually closer to the interstate and the big box, the Home Depot, Lowe's, behind the woods there. But in addition to those individuals, we've got, I can't tell you the number of folks that I talk to on a regular basis who are sleeping in their vehicle. And so we've got a real issue here. And so during the cold winter months, we open up our facility, feed, have a wonderful meal, come in here, make sure they're getting the resources that they need, make sure, that help them along. Ideally is help them find a lot deal with mental illness, which is just an issue that's, my heart breaks because sometimes I feel hopeless in that. Only God can turn that around. And so but we open up our facility. So I have a heart for the marginalized, and I'm well aware of Luke chapter 4 when Jesus says, "Hey, I'm ushering in this new kingdom, and if you're going to find me, I'm going to be out with the marginalized. I'm not going to be in the synagogue. I'm not going to be in the church. I'm going to be out. That's who I'm coming for." So I'm well aware of his ministry, and so it's dear to my heart, and so I just appreciate you caring for the poor.
Oh, I'm telling you, Man. Okay, we're not supposed to have dead air. Let me keep talking. It just amazes me sometimes how the Lord divinely orchestrates things.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was going to be on this show until what, a few days ago.
Last week, yeah.
Let me tell you how this whole plan of God came together. So, in the play, there are three central people in the play who are the core heart of this play from the perspective of who are on stage the most. Besides myself, I play the pastor who takes the church into community. But besides myself, it is these three homeless women who are the heart of Go Back and Get God. Delta, who we're discussing,
Yes.
she plays one of the homeless women.
Okay.
Each one of those women has a story as to how they wound up living on the streets. Because so many people look at homeless people and think that they are just some derelicts, that they never had nothing, they just trying to get stuff. Lazy, don't want a job.
Right.
But there are so many people. There's a line that I wrote in the play that Delta says, Delta Dickinson is her name, one of our cast members who want to be here today, that she says, many people are one or two paychecks away from being homeless themselves. And each one of these women have a story that will just grip your heart as to how they wound up being homeless. So, what I wanted to do from the time I did this show in New York, it was the last time I did it, here now, October 5th in Newnan, Georgia, I said it is in our printed material that a portion of the proceeds I am giving to one or two homeless organizations. Since we're going to be in Newnan, I said, in Newnan, from this show. I asked Derek Teagle, can you recommend to me an organization or two that looks out for the homeless people in Newnan that I can give this money to from the play? He sent me two names, Bridging the Gap, Newnan City Church.
Wow.
Y'all got to know this is God, man. Y'all got to know this is God. Again, I didn't know I was going to meet you. I didn't know I'd be on your show today. I can show you the text that he sent me with those two names.
Are you kidding, man?
God, I'm telling you. I said, because Derek, I don't want to partner with somebody who is not really looking out for the people who are homeless, who need help. I'm not trying to pay somebody's salary. I want to give it that. I don't want them to take the money and they take $2 and give it, and buy some bread. I mean, who really care for homeless people, for people who need help. And he sent me those two names. Now, fast forward. That was just a couple weeks ago. Now, fast forward. Delta, who plays one of the homeless women, is also in charge now of doing the local marketing in this area. So she asked Derek again, who are the people that you told Bishop that have a homeless ministry? Because we want to contact them to let them know what we want to do. So then she talks to you, and then you tell about the radio show. And I'm going like, and you invited us to come. I said, well, he's one of the ones we're going to be giving our donation to from the play for his homeless ministry. And she was like, Bishop, God's doing all of this. God's doing all of this.
Only God.
Because that is my passion. When it comes to doing alms, that is my passion. My heart is for the homeless of our nation. People they have their charities and whatnot. They say, what is yours? The homeless people. That's my heart. So I didn't know what your organization did. This is what I'm getting to. I didn't know what you did. Because I just met you today.
That's right.
So I didn't know how deep your homeless ministry was. All I know is that's the two names Derek sent me. And so I'm sitting here on air live listening to you describe the homeless ministry that you are over and your heart and your passion. And that's why tears are in my eyes. I'm like, God, this is all you.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Only God can orchestrate that.
I didn't even know what the homeless climate was in Noonan. I didn't. And you know, God is so good because every time my thought was, let me research what's going on for the homeless in Noonan, I never did because God wanted to have this moment for me.
Wow.
To hear straight out of your mouth.
That's powerful.
Yeah. So what we're doing is for any church or organization or person that will take tickets for the play,
right?
$5 off each ticket that church or organization or person keeps as a fundraiser for themselves.
Right.
Because I believe in profit sharing. I believe we all should be blessed when it comes to with our efforts. And so anybody who supports us by selling tickets for the show, taking tickets for the show to sell, they keep $5 off each ticket. So that is one way that I'm giving back to help other organizations, churches, and ministries. And then whatever we profit from the show at expenses, we're going to give a portion of that to your organization for the homeless people.
Wow.
To help them.
Wow.
And I told Delta Dickinson, I love her so much. She's such a blessing. Monique Steele, a phenomenal singer she sings like somebody you wouldn't imagine her voice.
Wow.
And Cynthia Hickerson, a powerful young woman of God. These three singing women are the homeless women in the play. And we are coming to Noonan next weekend. On the following weekend, because next week is holiday. It's a holiday, but the following week, we're coming to Noonan. And watch this. I said, we've got to find somebody in Noonan that can show us where the homeless people are. Good God Almighty, here you are right here. Because I want us to go and let them know we're doing the show. Yeah. And we want to invite them to the play.
Yes.
Free.
Yes.
As my guests. I want to invite some of them to come and treat them like royalty.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to see, so I want people to come, if people will come and see this production, I promise you, it will not only touch your heart, but it will lift your spirits, it will encourage you, it will let you know that God is on your side and he can turn anything around that we may be dealing with.
That's so good. That is so good, Bishop. I'm in my hand, I'm looking at the brochure that you guys have created. This is on October the 5th. It's here at the Wadsworth Auditorium, which is located 2 blocks from downtown Noonan off Jefferson Street, and 6 p.m. that evening on the 5th. And they can go, is there a website for them to go to?
Yes, they can go to www.gobackandgetgod.com.
Okay. Go back, that's go back, and it's spelling out A-N-D, go back and get God.
Or they can go to Eventbrite.
Okay.
Tickets are available on eventbrite.com and on gobackandgetgod.com.
That is
or they can go to the Seller Smith Funeral Home right here in Noonan.
Oh, really?
They have tickets. That's the older flyer. The new flyer I'm picking up on tomorrow.
Okay.
And it has all of the most recent information, including Seller Smith Funeral Home.
Their sponsorship.
Yes, exactly. They have tickets there.
Okay, that is great.
And I think we need to have some tickets at Noonan City Church.
Absolutely.
That's what I think.
You guys hit me up on Facebook or call me, and I'll be happy to connect with you. With that. And so, man, this has been so good, Bishop. Man. Thank you for being here on the show.
Sir.
It's been a great show. Just
you.
Appreciate your heart and how the Lord has led you and how you've obeyed over the year. I think, God, people always talk about, hearing God and my issue has never been hearing God, Ryan. I can hear God. My issue has been obeying God. and so, you know, and so I appreciate anybody who can hear and obey. Those are it usually takes that combo if you want to experience the kingdom here on earth. Bishop, what a joy to have you on the show, and hope that you'll come back again.
Oh, you remember, you got to do that music.
You know, I want to talk theology with you. I'd love to talk theology with you, with music, and Lucifer, and Satan's role, and all that.
Let's do that. And I also want to mention as well, now I've been, talking about the seriousness of the show, but let me also tell you, you will laugh until you hurt.
Yes.
Oh my God! And there's a few people right here from Noonan. Keisha Farrell is from Noonan. She is in Go Back and Get God.
Okay.
Joe Pope. Everybody knows Joe Pope.
Yeah.
Joe Pope is doing a special guest appearance on in Go Back and Get God. And so our Derek Teagle's son, Cameron, he's in the play.
So we got some locals here.
Locals in the show. And I have a national Christian comedian. Her name is Miss Wall Street, and she is a phenomenal comedian. She travels all over the country, and she's here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. She lives in Lithonia. She's in the play, and she's going to have you rolling, laughing. She represents the people who stopped going to church. And when she give you all reasons why she stopped going, and she is so hilarious, you will laugh.
That is good.
You'll laugh.
Well, brother, thank you so much.
Pastor, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Well, friends, you've been listening to Faith Works. We'll be back next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful time. And remember, make your faith work.
Thanks for tuning in to Faith Works with Pastor Jimmy Ellison from Noonan City Church. Tune back in here next week for another edition of Faith Works.